Again, it is a privilege to read to you the message of Haji Murad Ibrahim, the chairman of Moro Islamic Liberation Front. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. Distinguished guests, representatives of the national and regional government agencies, friends and supporters from the development community, BDA officers and staff, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be with you and a very good morning to all. Violence and insecurity are at the root of the challenges in the Bangsamoro. Centuries of discrimination and marginalization, and ignited by the series of massacres and atrocities starting in the late 60s, which was perceived by the Bangsamoro as genocidal campaign against the Bangsamoro people, have resulted in the formation of the Bangsamoro struggle to regain their rights to self-determination beginning in the early 1970s. The different peace agreements between the government of the Philippines and the Bangsamoro people, including the framework agreement on the Bangsamoro Pact and the comprehensive agreement on the Bangsamoro Pact of the Moro Islamic Liberation Front and the Philippine government clearly recognized these grievances as justified. This peace agreement created the basis for peace built on political autonomy for the Bangsamoro. Though implementation of the PAB and the CAB via an enabling law, BDL, is yet to be passed in the Philippine Congress and ratified by the people. The Bangsamoro and the entire country in general is plagued by violence of extremist groups. Already in the first half of the 1990s, this extremist violence started when a number of fighters of the MNLF, particularly in the island provinces, formed the so-called Abu Sayyaf Group, ESG. Initially engaged in kidnap for ransom activities, and later including other terrorist activities. Analysts link this emergence of the ASG to the frustration about the non-implementation of the 1996 final peace agreement, on the implementation of the 1976 Tripoli Peace Agreement between the Moro National Liberation Front and the government of the Philippines. On the side of the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, MILF, which started its peace negotiation with the Philippine government in 1997. After the failure of the signing of the already initiated Memorandum of Agreement on Ancestral Domain MOAD between the GPH and MILF peace panels in 2008, another extremist group, the so-called Bangsamoro Islamic Freedom Fighters, BIFF, emerged in the central Mindanao area. Again, the failure of the Philippine Congress to pass the first agreed draft of the BBL in 2016, which would translate the PAB and CAB into law in order to be implemented, motivated and sparked new frustration for militants in the Bangsamoro, which contributed to the violent actions by the so-called Multi Group in 2016, resulting in the greater portion of the city of Marawi held by this extremist group, jointly with the ASG, and reportedly elements of foreign terrorists in 2017. Inspired and allegedly supported by the ISIS, DICE in the Middle East, the extremists were able to sustain the fight with the armed forces of the Philippines and managed to hold onto their ground for months, totally devastating almost the entire city. The Marawi siege is a landmark event in the violent extremism in Mindanao, whereas the ASG, BIFF, and other groups could be controlled and contained in other areas. The capture of Marawi City, the first and only Islamic city in the Philippines, and the long-lasting operation of the EFP to recapture the city was a shock to the national and international community. It made people realize that violent extremism is there and will not disappear in the short run. The positive expectations of adoption of the new BBL should not conceal that also the BBL, like peace agreements elsewhere, will never satisfy each and every one and every faction in society. New dissatisfaction could be triggered when again the present Congress will not be able to pass the BBL drafted by the new and inclusive BTC. or even if it is passed, when it will be perceived as a watered-down version and does not reflect the peace agreements of the Bangsamoro and GPH, particularly the three fully agreement peace agreement, the PAB and the CAB. Likewise, if the implementation will not bring the expected improvements in the social, cultural, political, and economic life of the people in the conflict areas. Therefore, violent extremism may likely remain a threat to the Bangsamoro and the entire country. More than anyone outside Bangsamoro, the people of Bangsamoro are aware of this threat and are committed to counter such situation. This proposal for this campaign, facilitated by the Bangsamoro Development Agency, BDA, is among the responses of the MILF to this reality. By preparing a Bangsamoro-wide campaign to prevent the violent extremism, the MILF wants to create a momentum of awareness in the communities of Bangsamoro on the threat of the violent extremism. Stemming the tide of violent extremism requires the involvement and commitment of families and communities to develop an early warning for signs of emerging violent extremism. This campaign must be undertaken by the leadership of different MILF agencies, including BDA, that will strengthen the Bangsamoro communities to actively prevent the violent extremism, to undermine the future of the Bangsamoro. On top of that, we sincerely believe that once a political settlement of the Bangsamoro issue will be in place through the passage of the agreed BDL, and subsequently the establishment of the Bangsamoro government, coupled with an effective, sustainable, and comprehensive socio-economic development programs that will improve the lives of the people in the area. This extremist terrorist group will be gradually isolated, will not survive, as they cannot gain support from some sectors of the masses. For now, the reality is that these extremist groups are gaining support from some sectors of the Bangsamoro people by capitalizing on the frustration of the people in the delay of non-implementation of the peace agreements. We are therefore inviting the government agencies, development partners to support the MILF in carrying out this campaign on the prevention of violent extremism in the Bangsamoro. We are confident that the program under this campaign will effectively complement the existing prevention of violent extremism program of the national government and the international community. MILF would like to thank and congratulate the Bangsamoro Development Agency with the technical support from the Dutch mission in the Philippines in coming up with this very timely program. In summary, every sector of our society must have a role to play to prevent this serious societal problem that hampers development growth and economic growth in all aspects. Thank you very much, and we anticipate for your strong support and commitment. Wassalamu alaikum. Alhaj Murad, Ibrahim, Chairman, MILF. Thank you.